Hi, everyone. Randy Miller again. Thank you for coming back to my channel. Today, I want to talk about Proposition 314, which is the border. There's quite a few issues that I have with it. Some of what you may not agree with, but that's okay. I'm going to give you my assessment of it, and you all do what you want to do. But let's look at first, what does Prop 314 say? One of the things I don't like about it is it uses the word natural person frequently when they're referring to this individual applying for unconstitutional federal or state benefits. They refer them as a natural person. What these people are is they're aliens. An alien is a specific definition. It means that they belong to a foreign country or nation. That's all. There's nothing derogatory or negative about being called an alien. You're from a foreign country or nation. You're not from this country, and you're not entitled to the benefits within this country as an alien foreign to this country. And they use that when they're talking about applying for benefits. They have sections in there that talk about when they apply, use a false ID to apply for benefits. If you use a good ID as an alien, you can apply for benefits. First of all, there's no constitutional authority for any of government agencies to give benefits, taxpayer funded, to someone who's not entitled to them as an alien. That I don't agree with, and it's wrong for the author of this. I believe it was another one of those bills by Ben Toma. I'm not sure, but I think it is. Ask him, what are you thinking when you're doing this? It's a crime to present a false ID as an alien to apply for federal or state benefits that shouldn't be out there to begin with. And yet he's agreeing to give benefits if you have legal documentation or alleged legal documentation from the federal government saying that you can stay in this country because we give you unconstitutional permission to do so. We don't have that authority. So false ID, we have laws on the books for that, for false ID, and I'll get into that. Fentanyl cases is a felony to transport. That's in this new bill. We have laws for possession for transportation and bringing across the border dangerous drugs and dangerous narcotics already, and they're very serious. We don't need new laws to do what we already have to do. Illegal to cross anywhere except a legal port of entry. Here they use alien instead of natural person. Why? Why do we use different terms to describe an individual who's not from this country and to make it a softer appearance when they apply for benefits? Just because they use natural person when they apply for benefits doesn't mean that they're not an alien. They are. We need to use the terminology and the words that fit the situation. He is not an alien when he crosses, but then a natural person when he applies for benefits. He's an alien all around. So we have that. And here they use the word alien, as I said. Defense, it's in the defense, they say, if they come across the border. And if the U.S. government had granted lawful presence of asylum, the federal government doesn't have authority to grant asylum. Where is that in the Constitution? There's no agreement of asylum. The federal government doesn't decide for the individual sovereign states that somebody else from a foreign country has the right to asylum, and therefore you're going to accept that. That's not constitutional. If they say it's also defense, if the conduct of the alien doesn't constitute a violation of Title 8 of the U.S. Code. Again, the United States does not have constitutional authority over immigration or our border. The states do. It's reserved to the state. And I'm not going to get into all this because I don't have time. But if you read the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, and you will see nowhere in there anything on amnesty, authority over immigration, or authority over our borders. The property clause doesn't cover that on the border for property. And the Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4 is only referring to establishing a standardized system of how to become a citizen. Nothing to do with immigration. Just once you get here, when the state's permitted, we will follow a standard law of how you become a citizen, period. The other thing I have with this is if you look on page 5, if you read the actual bill, is this an amnesty bill? Because the proposition says it does not apply to anyone already here prior to the date of taking effect. So these laws that they want to propose for you to vote for, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter because it doesn't apply to any of the 44 million people that came across the border who may come into the state of Arizona since Biden's occupied the White House. So it only applies after the date that it becomes effective. We have many laws on the books, like I'm going to explain, that we need to enforce. We don't need another law that's going to just complicate matters worse and make it more difficult to decide what the hell are we supposed to do. We got this law, we got that law. No. Read it. To me, it sounds like an amnesty bill for anybody who's been here prior to this date coming into effect. One of the good things it does, it says that Arizona will not go along with the parole program of the United States. So if the United States, because Biden has his parole catch release program, and they come across the border, they catch them, and then all of a sudden say, well, we're just going to release you until they do. We're not going to do that. We're going to give you a parole, and then we'll give you a court date 3 or 4 or 5 years from now that you may or may not show up to, but at least we got you down for a court date. And then you're free to go around. We're not going to honor that. Arizona will say no. If this individual's picked up for a crime and he comes before the court, the judge will have an opportunity to offer him a voluntary return back to their country. We'll take them back to the border and kick them back across the border. I have no problem with that, but we can do that anyway. The other thing is that if there's an arbitrary release by Border Patrol after detention and they no longer detain them, then we're not going to allow that either. We're going to say, nope, you're not here legally. We're going to deport you. I mean, we have the right to do that now. Let's see, arbitrary release by Border Patrol. I did that. The court can order voluntary return if the Border Patrol dropped them off. The court can order a voluntary return of this individual, and we will take them to the border and drop them off and make sure they cross and do not return. We have the right to do that now. But so addressing this stuff, what I want you to consider the following as we go forward in this quick discussion. We have laws, and it has been demonstrated the government agencies are individuals. I haven't demonstrated it, but let me explain that to you. So if you look at Black's Law, and if you look at other legal definitions on the internet, what is a person? So the legal definition of a person also includes legal persons, which are entities that the law recognizes having certain rights and responsibilities, even though they are not living, breathing individuals. These can include corporations, partnerships, trusts, and even government agencies. Legal persons can own property, enter into contracts, and be sued or held liable for their actions, just like other persons. So they can be held liable and they can be sued. That is a legal person. Now, when we're looking at some of these laws we have on the books, I want you to consider that. Let's look at 1330, definition of accomplice. Are these agencies or are these individuals, can they be legally considered an accomplice? I think so. Definition of accomplice, 13301. In this title, unless the context otherwise requires, accomplice means a person other than a peace officer. Well, I think in this case, we would have to look at something different. Acting in his official capacity within the scope of his authority and in the line of duty, who with the intent to promote or facilitate the commission of an offense, solicits or commands another person to commit the offense, aids, counsels, agrees to, or or attempts to aid another person planning or committing an offense, or 3, provides a means or opportunity to another person to commit the offense. I think these people are accomplices when they have in their possession a known criminal that's violated crossing our border. And many of these people they know have criminal arrest previously. We have reports of murderers released, and they know it, and they just release them because they're illegal status. They're getting a whole separate treatment on status of being here illegally. That is wrong. These people commit a crime. The individual officer or the district attorney or the attorney general that knowingly releases this person is, in my opinion, an accomplice because they provide a means or opportunity to another person to commit the offense. That individual goes out, commits another offense. That person that knowingly releases this individual who shouldn't be here to begin with, I say, should be looked at as an accomplice. And as a person, they can be held legally liable according to the term of law. But the other thing is criminal liability based on conduct. Let's look at criminal liability. A person may be guilty of an offense committed by such person's own conduct or the conduct of another, for which such person is criminally accountable as provided in this chapter, or by both. So if an individual is criminally accountable for that, and you assist as an accomplice, or you provide a means for them to continue their offenses, can you be held criminally liable? I think they should be. They should be looked at. And how that can be done, let's look at malfeasance in office. Let's start looking at malfeasance in office and nonfeasance in office. These people have no right to be in office when they allow these things to occur. The next one is criminal liability based upon conduct of another. I'm not going to read them all. I'm just going to go to 3. The person is an accomplice of such other person in the commission of an offense, including any offense that is a natural and probable or reasonable foreseeable consequence of the offense for which a person was an accomplice. So how can they not have any foreseeable prediction that this is going to be another crime or a crime when they release these individuals and allow this crap to happen? They are, just as my reading of this show, in my opinion, they have criminal liability based upon the conduct of another or their own conduct. And the other thing we need to look at is we have criminal nuisance. These are crimes that are committed with these individuals that come across the border and granted unconstitutional authority to be here by the federal government when the states sit back and allow this to happen. Maybe the state's an accomplice as well because they're not doing their job. Criminal nuisance. The person commits criminal nuisance if by the conduct either unlawful in itself or unreasonable under the circumstances, such person recklessly creates or maintains a condition which endangers the safety or health of others. How about criminal nuisance? That would be section ARS Title 13, section 2908. I think that fits. You make up your mind. It's a misdemeanor, class 3 misdemeanor. In some of these instances, I think it should be a felony. Anyone by knowingly conducting, still same section, knowingly conducting or maintaining any presence, place, or resort where persons gather for purposes of engaging in unlawful conduct. How about these hotels where they're housing all these illegals and then they're released for their whatever they're released for, and then they come back and they commit their crimes on their release. They're maintaining a facility that's permitting these crimes to occur and then housing them. I don't know what to say. Public nuisance classifications. 132917. You can read that one. It is another instance of criminal activity by allowing this to happen. So look at those, and then let's look at the oath of office as well. Officers and employees required to take loyalty oath, form and classification definitions, Title 38, Section 231. It's a law, state law, that they take their oath of office to support and defend the Constitution of Arizona and the Constitution of the United States. They're not doing that. Article 6, Arizona's Constitution is the courts. Section 26, the oath of office. Each justice, judge, and justice of the peace shall, before entering upon the duties of his office, they hold office, they work for the people, shall take and subscribe an oath that he will support the Constitution of the state of Arizona and that he will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of his office to the best of his ability. Faithfully and impartially. That's not happening. It hasn't happened in many of our cases. They violate their oath of office. State legislators violate their oath of office. Law enforcement officers violating their oath of office. And this Proposition 314 does nothing but further that action with the definitions and the descriptions that they're allowing, and then giving a defense if they're permitted by the federal government to continue their criminality in the state on their release or parole program. They have no authority to initiate. I'm voting no on 314, and you can do what you like, but I do ask that everybody just research it. This is my assessment of this bill, and it requires that everybody at least have their own. They don't nobody went over this. My LD 28 had no discussion on any of these. She took an online poll. What do you like? What do you dislike? And then she gathered up the totals and said, okay, well, most people like this one and not enough like this, so we'll vote yes on this one. It's ridiculous. This is not a game show on television where we make decisions of how we're going to deal with our future safety and our culture as a country and as a state. We are witnessing cultural genocide, social genocide, economic genocide of our state with these ridiculous laws. And we have laws on the books that aren't being enforced, but they don't enforce them, so let's just write new ones. No, I'm voting no on this. Please do your research and check out what you want to do with being informed and make your own decision. Thanks for listening to my channel. I'm Randy Miller, and I'll see you again.